Let's jump to the story because we do have big news. KISS co-founder Paul Stanley, 71, slams parents who confuse their children about gender identity, branding child sex changes a sad and dangerous fad. This is the front man. This is the guy, the star on his face for KISS.
Yeah,
That's the guy.
Star Child.
Star Child. That's
he
him.
doesn't even look bad.
He's 71. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, he doesn't look bad.
And,
for 71 at all.
He's aged better than me.
Look at that. Does he have here we go. He says, I'll read some of what he says. There's a big difference between teaching acceptance and normalizing and even encouraging participation in a lifestyle that confuses young children into questioning their sexual identification as though some sort of game, and then parents in some cases allow it. He says there are individuals who as adults may decide reassignment as their needed choice, but turning this into a game or parents normalizing it as some sort of natural alternative, or believing that because a little boy likes to play dress up in his sister's clothes, or a girl in her brother's, we should lead them steps further down a path that's far from the innocence of what they're doing. I think he's completely right. You know, kids will play with whatever toys because they're just kids. They're exploring the world. And what's happening now is this is the meme. It's a kid playing with a doll, and then the parent says, "I'll prep the surgery." Right? It's like, oh, he played with a doll. Well, there it is. The funny thing is, and I've pointed this out, so has many others, how is it that they argue simultaneously that gender is a social construct, meaning playing with dolls is not unique to males or females, but then if a male plays with dolls or a female with a football, that proves they're actually identifying as the opposite sex.
The weird thing too is the genderization of toys and clothes came like after my childhood, after my brother's childhood, and you started to go into the Lego section and you would see girls Legos and boys Legos. That didn't used to be the thing. When I would hang out in my friend Nikki's basement and play with her brother's Legos, we just all played Legos. It wasn't a big deal. And the same thing with the Barbie dolls. Like we would just all play. It wasn't a big deal.
No, I joined a girls Lego competition and I just crushed. I joined a girls Barbie competition even, and I still beat them. It was incredible.
You would never beat me in Barbies. I would just like to say, like, I would kick your ass in Barbies.
In all seriousness, there was a clip I saw from your show, and I can't remember the guest, and if you can, please shout him out. But he was saying there were studies on how boys and girls will play differently. They'll play with the same toy, but when the boy picks up the toy, he starts embodying the character he's playing with, whereas when the girl picks up the toy, she has the character act the way she does. So even when we're playing with, or as kids playing with different toys, we or the same toys or
like,
differently.
The boy
picks the way he described it. I feel bad that I can't remember who it was, but the way he described it is when a boy picks up a Batman toy, now he's Batman. He's like, I'm Batman. And he's just playing like Batman. When the girl picks Batman up, Batman's like, do you want to have a tea party?
Then Batman wants a tea party.
Exactly, like Batman.
I used to play Barbies with my friends at my mom's apartment, and like the neighbors and stuff. We had this Barbie dream house. And my friend Julia's brother came to play with us, and he was older. He was like 12, I want to say, and we were like 10 or something. But he took one of my Barbies that was disabled and strapped together with rubber bands, and he was like, "This is the madam of the Barbie dream house." And we were like, "What's that?
Oh my God.
What are you talking about?" And he...
Television and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race.
Whoa, Ted, Uncle Ted.
Whoa, television. Let's talk about radio.
The next thing you know, we had like the Barbie. We had the Barbie brothel. We had like this whole thing set up. It was ridiculous. And I told my mom about it. I was like, "Oh, Mark said this and that," and my mom was like,
"You can't go over there anymore."
Seamus, it was Ethan Van Scriver who said that. Ethan Van Scriver with the comic artist.
Oh, okay.
Said that.
Awesome.
So, Comicsgate. Someone mentioned in the chat. So
I wouldn't know because I've never been female, but when I used to play with Legos, you're right. When I would play with toys, me and my friends would take the action figures or whatever, and we would voice them. We would be like, "I am going to take over the world." We were the character was us. We were like acting as them.
That's what we used to do with the Barbies. We'd like make
then that's
worlds.
the opposite of what you're saying.
Yeah,
I was just quoting someone. That's what I was told.
We would do like stories. We would like invent whole worlds with the Barbies, and mostly they ended up having sex.
The issue is when you would play with Barbie, was the Barbie channeling you? And you were like, "I'm Barbie," and Barbie would do things you would do?
Barbie was another character.
Barbie
was like the character of the,
See, I distinctly remember when I was...
But like we'd do the voices, would be like, "I'm going over here now."
Yeah.
When I was a kid,
my hair?
I used like if I was playing with like G.I. Joes or whatever, and my cousins were playing with Barbie or whatever, and they wanted to like have the Barbies and the G.I. Joes interact, I would get upset because they would want the G.I. Joes to do like Barbie things. And I'm like, no, G.I. Joes don't do that.
He doesn't play that,
they're going to fight. And they would be like, no.
This is why my cousin would be like, he had the Hulk Hogan and the Roddy Piper guys. And so whenever I played Barbies with him, it was like wrestling Barbies.
Yes.
would they have like the G.I. Joes at the mall with the Barbies, and then one G.I. Joe goes to the other and he goes, hey, that uniform, what platoon were you with? And he's like, he goes, Stolen Valor! This guy's stealing Valor!
I don't think Stolen Valor was really a thing back then, to be honest.
I'm sure it was. They just got away with it because no one was filming it.
So
No one put it on Twitter.
Yeah.
D. Snyder came out on Twitter and actually agreed with Paul Stanley. And so I'm feeling
cool,
I'm feeling pretty confident, and I'm feeling pretty white-pilled as of lately, because what I think what's happening is that we are reaching woke critical mass. I think Bud Light is very, very important in more ways than people realize. The fact that Bud Light sales are down 21.4% suggests to regular people who are like, I don't know what's right or wrong, I just want to be on the right side of history, are now going, maybe it's not the woke people.
Yep.
Yeah.
If rock stars, celebrities, and the average person is not buying this beer anymore. So now imagine this. Bud Light is uncool. Nobody wants to buy it. Now you're going to see an outright rejection of this, because a regular person who normally just follows the trends is going to be like, I don't drink Bud Light. Whatever you say, guys.
And then a beer company is going to hire an actual woman to advertise their beer.
It used to be that the joke was
like a
the joke
tank top,
Family Guy
like
did.
No, don't do that.
was
She needs to
they're
be
in the
dressed modest. If
backyard,
they're really
and there's
counter-revolutionary, she'll
modestly.
dress
and they
modestly.
say that drink our beer and beautiful women will want to have sex with you. And the commercial was
That used to
women.
be the thing,
that was
yeah.
that was the commercial. And now the commercial is, if you drink Bud Light, you are sexually attracted to people of the same sex as you. And I don't think your average guy who's going to a barbecue wants to convey that message to his neighbors. So they're just like, that's not my, I don't drink that stuff. Don't look at me.
Bud Light, it's reverse conversion therapy.
Cut your wiener off so Joe
Look,
can
man,
bang
look.
the hole.
I mean, they used to sell sex for everything.
I think there
Gum. Remember gum sex
when it comes
ed?
to a lot of
Wrigley's
alcoholic
spearmint
drinks
gum?
like Bacardi Silver or O or whatever, I don't know if they still have those, but like fruity light drinks in wine coolers or whatever are seen as effeminate, and guys want to drink like Guinness, like a strong dark beer or something. So now you have Bud Light being like the frilliest of foo-foo brands.
Exactly.
And outright stating like,
Yeah, like White Claw is more masculine.
If they
than
were,
Bud Light.
if they were selling like strawberry daiquiris, I could understand.
yeah. But now you have a beer that is widely seen as effeminate. And surprise, surprise to all of the woke Gen Zers or whatever, guys don't want to be seen as weak.
And to be fair, for
Someone
any,
That's
probably
who
fine with
drinks
it.
beer. Like dudes drink beer. Women buy those fruity things.
those like Bud Lights are the beer that you get for like were the beer that like you'd get for the afternoon because you didn't want to have like too heavy beer and it's kind of thirst quenching and stuff, and then you drink the heavier stuff later. Nobody's doing that anymore. No one's drinking that anymore.
It's the beer that you buy because you're not only manly enough to drink beer, you're manly enough to not care if anyone you're with wants good beer. And so you bring that over. That's
right.
the demographic. They're like Dylan Mulvaney. That's who will slap on.
Shut up and
but my
drink.
main
It is
point-
pretty masculine, right?
My main point with bringing this subject back up is regular people, the left is trying to win the culture war by saying you are on the wrong side of history. And because civil rights is the right side of history, they're trying to pretend that they represent civil rights when in fact they represent segregation
And fascism.
and fascism and
Tyranny.
fascistic ideologies.
Compelled speech.
But they're wearing a mask of civil rights. Now that regular people, though, are saying no to Bud Light, many people who are following the woke are going to question whether or not that's the safe place to be because they were just going along with the crowd. Hey, the crowd's not there, man. The crowd's clearly boycotting Bud Light.
What ended up happening to Gillette's numbers after that ad?
I think
because they're a men's
tanking.
brand. They were a men's brand, and I remember people saying, "Go woke, get broke," or "Get woke, go broke."
I'll tell you
whatever
what
the phrase
happened.
is.
When Hershey's had a male sponsor their women's candy bar.
That Canadian,
We got
that crazy
this
Canadian.
delicious She Her candy bar by Jeremy's Chocolates.
Isn't it
And I will
hilarious?
stress, they don't pay me to do this. They do not.
Dude, people, and it's
Now you're
funny
making me want
because
chocolate.
whenever anyone
You got it right there.
responds,
I know, but I feel weird chewing into the mic. Wait, I'll just
push
you
the
know
microphone
what?
away.
Go ahead, you talk.
unbelievable.
You talk,
Libby.
and I'll just chew over here.
There you go. Whenever these boycotts happen, people go, "Oh, absolutely. Why do you care so much?" I don't know, because it's being forced onto me at all times by everyone.
Because we're literally a year away from S the D bigot.
No, dude, that was like 2 years ago.
Well, I mean, yeah, that was the joke 2 years ago. I really do. It's getting to the point where there are people that do, and not that there's a lot of people that support the argument. There are people that do make the argument that if you won't date a trans woman, if you're a straight man and you won't date a trans woman, you're a bigot. And I don't give a shit. I'm a bigot. I don't care.
Well, but you know who really gets pushed, has this pushed on them are lesbians.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, lesbians are like, wait, I'm not doing the right thing. What am I supposed to do? Let me do the right thing. I'll do the thing. And so, yeah, lesbians are easy to push around. It turns out.
You know the crazy thing is,
like a lot of women.
I read before that in Iran, if you're a gay man, they force you to get a sex change, and if you're a gay woman, the same thing.
Yeah.
But now what we're seeing is these young women who are like autistic and gay are being told they're trans and should get, sex changes or whatever, or mastectomies. And that's like weirdly similar to what Iran does.
It's very similar to what Iran does. And it was like, 4,400% increase in young women deciding to be trans. So this was interesting. So you have all these young women deciding to be trans. See, more chocolate. You have all these young women deciding to be trans right around puberty. And they look at like womanhood and they're like, I don't want any piece of that. That seems awful. You've got like the tampons, you've got the whole thing. It's awful. There's nothing, it's hard to see anything good about it, right? And so they decide that they want to be boys instead. And they go through that whole thing. I was recently seeing, I think it was a writer who does a lot of trans writing and stuff, is basically hitting menopause, like premenopause, and being like, I am trans masculine now. And it's kind of it's the reverse of kind of the same thing. She's looking at cronehood. She's looking at being an old woman. No one wants to be an old woman, even more than no one wants to be a grown-up woman. You look at this, everything in your body just like sags down. It's terrible. It's horrible. Nobody wants any part of that. And so now she's going to be masculine. She's getting a breast binder. And it's like, yeah, because they're already like hanging down to your navel, probably. It's not... just so
no,
it's like the same kind of thing. Like when a woman hits a change of life, whatever that change of life is, she's like, I don't want any part of that. And who can blame her? It sucks.
Well, also, no, I think that's a very good point. I mean, girls are generally uncomfortable during puberty. There are a lot of changes there. And especially when you look at the current cultural paradigm, women are told not to want to do things that are natural to women. And also, one aspect of this people don't talk about is that the average age of first exposure to pornography is 13 years old. And there is really gross, horrible, hardcore stuff out there. And you can absolutely imagine a girl encountering that and going, oh my gosh, that's what sex is? That's what happens to women? No, I don't want to be a woman.
Someone super chatted that we should look at Noodles, the guitar player from The Offspring's reaction to Kiss. And I just want to say this. I know this is a bit personal for me to say, but this may be one of the greatest days of my life. The guitarist from The Offspring has me blocked. The very first song I ever learned how to play on the guitar was The Kids Aren't All Right, written by this man, and he has blocked me on Twitter. Truly a day for me to behold.
Was your cover that bad?
He probably blocked me because, I'm friends and play music with their old drummer who they crapped all over because they're nasty, evil people. And man, you know what? I will say one thing that frustrates me is that there's a lot of secrets about celebrities that if people only knew, but this guy, from my understanding, is lying about everything.
Really?
I can't say much more because it's not my place to say, and that bothers me. But until someone comes out and comes on the record about the band and about their actual, let's just say, about the truth, there's not much more I can say. But what I will say is this. Many of these people in Hollywood who post these tweets do so just because they want to get the PR brownie points, and they voted for Trump.
Oh, and they voted for Trump.
For one reason.
Taxes.
That's it. They don't care about anything.
Yeah.
These people.
That's why a lot of rappers will vote for Trump.
Yep.
Because they're like into the not having to pay a.
Now, here's what I want to say.
I don't believe any rappers voted for Joe Biden. I don't care what they say publicly.
I don't know why you would.
None of them voted. They're all like, I'm voting for Trump.
Let me
Trump's
show you.
baller, and Joe Biden's an old creepy man.
Yeah. Let me show you what Noodles actually said. I clicked his Twitter account to see his response to Paul Stanley and saw that I was blocked. He said, "This is a very disappointing take, especially from someone who wore high heels, makeup, and teased up hair his whole career. As a young kid, your band helped teach me that I could be whatever I wanted to be. I guess it was just gimmickry after all." Ben Collins of NBC says, "The idea of Kiss, of all bands complaining about gender nonconforming people, is just chef's kiss. The funny thing is, He is, of all the people to come out and say kids should not be doing this, he is the perfect person in that he wore high heels and makeup and he never cut off his genitals.
He never did,
His
not even
point
one time.
being made is you can.
He didn't even try it.
He outright says children may dress in their brothers and sisters' clothes, and that's just something they want to do. Don't tell them to get surgeries and drugs. And they're coming out and being like, yeah, but you wore those clothes. He said it's okay that kids do this.
You can wear the clothes. It's like, that's the thing about drag that drives me crazy too, is you have all this like drag for kids. And it's like, guys, drag is an adult thing. We all had a great time at the drag show. Yeah. Why are we suddenly imagining that a bunch of guys who dress up like campy women, like fake beauty pageant women, and have taken on entertainment stage names that are like sexual names for the most part? Why are we imagining that these are the people who should be entertaining and educating our kids? It doesn't make any sense.
It's a horrible Martin
Nothing's
Bailey.
wrong with like, go to the drag show, have a great time,
Disagree.
get trashed, enjoy yourself. Listen, I'm a little bit of a libertine here and there. So, but like, I never had an issue with that. I've been to plenty of drag shows. You know, I've had friends who do drag, but don't go hang out at my kids' library.
Doing drag
and
is
read
not
them books.
surgery.
Yeah, and don't go reading them books about how they should cut their dicks off.
Yeah.
Well, I think Matt Walsh said it very well when he described drag as burlesque for gay men.
Sure.
It's basically what it is.
And a bunch of fag hacks too. Yeah. You gotta
I haven't heard that phrase in a long time.
It's been a while. I know.
It's great.
It's been a while.
But I mean, you're
I think it's probably not politically correct anymore to say that.
nothing's politically correct. As soon as you open your mouth, you're going to get canceled
We're
anyway,
all
so it doesn't
done.
matter. I mean, you showed up here at the castle. You're over. It's done. I think that it's obvious. It should be obvious, and I really think that the average person, when they hear what goes on when it comes to like surgeries and stuff, they're like, that's not right. That is so far outside of how we treat any other issue that anyone has ever.
Right.
Like you don't cut up healthy bodies because of psychological issues, whether it be AGP or whether it be dysmorphia or whatever you want to call it. Right? Like, I don't believe the wrong body thing because I'm not a guy that believes in a soul. I think your brain is your brain. You're not born with a man's brain in a woman's body. You're born with a woman's brain in a woman's body, or a man's brain in a man's body, because your brain is part of your body. That's it.
That's the physicalist approach.
Yeah, I mean, that's how
sure.
I mean, I'm not a spiritual guy. That's just my thing.
Well, but also gender isn't the soul. Like, even if you are spiritual, gender is not the soul.
Well, yeah.
And but that's where it becomes that whole creepy, weird religion thing that the left has got going on. Yes.
Well,
it's a cult because there's no forgiveness.
I would say
religions have forgiveness.
And I would add this in there as well. I do believe in a soul, but also I believe human beings are a body-soul composite, and you are both. It's not like you're a body and you have a soul, or you're a soul and you have a body. You are your body and your soul. The idea that you are something different from your body is a contradiction. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Don't cut your wiener off.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
That was
I
an
would
excellent
say-
response to the spiritual.
Yeah.
Don't. I mean, no. He summarized
You know
it.
what,
Look,
there
he
is-
put it in layman's terms.
Yeah.
And I think there is something, I think there is a spiritualness to having a sexual life, So I think it's just really a crime to destroy these children's bodies before they have a chance to be involved in loving relationships.
100%. The fact that there are so many people that advocate to do things pre-puberty, so because allegedly it makes it easier to transition, which I don't believe, because there's the stories of Jazz Jennings, like how
That's
her
not a
body
good
is
situation.
it's
That's
a
just
train
not a-
wreck because she
That's
went.
not a good situation.
So, anyways, my point being, like, I can't see how, and I keep coming back to the same point. I can't see how endorsing surgery on children, people that their brains haven't even fully developed. Go by what the insurance companies say. The insurance companies know you can't. You know
what? When I was 12
25
years
to
old-
rent a car, like that's it.
When I was 12 years old, I knew that I really wanted to do drugs. Like, I was very clear on that. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I definitely want to do drugs. And I thought, okay, you're 12, so maybe just like hold off. And I made a deal with myself. I was like, okay, you got to hold off until you're 18. and then you can try drugs.
That's the most mature thing I've ever heard a 12-year-old do. I didn't think about drugs until I was 15, and someone said, "You want to smoke a joint?" And I said, "Yep."
Well, that way, when somebody was 15, when I was 15, and someone was like, "Do you want to smoke a joint?" I was like, "No, I gotta wait." I actually had someone offer me cocaine when I was 16, and I had really wanted to do cocaine when I was 12. This was like one of the drugs. I'll tell you the story another time.
It's for the after show.
It's definitely an after show story.
All right.
Yes. Anyways, but yeah, so someone offered me cocaine when I was 16, and I was like, you know what? I have to wait until I'm 18. All the drugs, like LSD, all the stuff. I was like, I'm waiting on that. So I think when you're 12, you have a way to know, like, hey, maybe I shouldn't cut my boobs off.
I didn't. I was a spaz.
Shockingly,
I was a alienated, bullied weirdo, but I knew some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, shockingly, people don't know what's best for them when they're younger. I remember a few years ago, I was at a bar with one of my cousins, and we must have been in our early 20s. And the bartender there was a bit older. She was, I believe, in her 50s. And my cousin said something like, "I'm never going to have kids." The bartender goes, "How old are you?" And she says, "I'm 22. And the bartender's like, "Shut up. Like, you're 22 years old, okay? You're not going to sit here and tell me that you're never going to have kids because you don't want to have them right now. You're going to get older, and you're probably going to want them."
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.